Namaste, India. Welcome to a marathon day of LinkedIn Local India third year anniversary celebration. My name is Preeti Chaudhary, and I'm your host for today, along with my dear friend and co-conspirator Vivek Chadha. We have had some stellar speakers come on during the day talking to us, and in this session also there is somebody that is totally up there in the business world, and I will just reveal their name and Vivek will do the honors of introducing them. So put your hands together, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, for none other than Richard Rekhy. But before that, here is Vivek and here is Richard. A warm welcome once again to everybody. Hello, Richard.
Hi.
Honored and happy to have you here with us today. Let's get the evening started. My dear friend Vivek, the baton is all yours. Let's get the conversations kick-started. Thank you.
Thank you, Preeti. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. A very warm welcome to all of you today. It gives me immense pleasure to have our next speaker for LinkedIn Local India's third anniversary. My name is Vivek Chadha, and our next guest is Mr. Richard Rekhy. Richard is presently a board member of KPMG, Lower Gulf, Dubai. He's the former CEO of KPMG India and was a member of the Global Board and Council of KPMG International. He is a qualified chartered accountant with over 37 years of experience in consulting and professional services, with multi-layered, multi-sectoral, top of the pyramid experience behind him. He has served clients across sectors including advertising, oil and gas, industrial and consumer markets, and specifically in the pharmaceuticals, technology, manufacturing, and retail domains. He is a member of various industry bodies, leading educational institutions, and is actively world with startup community as an investor and a mentor. I heartily welcome you, Richard, and I thank you for investing your time to join us today. Over to you, Preeti.
Thank you, my dear Vivek, for that. And how times change. It was exactly a year back when we met Richard physically. He was a keynote speaker at our LinkedIn Local Bangalore event. And here we are, 1 year down the line. And here we are again, the three of us, only virtually this time. So let me quickly put into perspective what LinkedIn Local India is all about. LinkedIn Local India is a platform which is a brand of LinkedIn Inc., but it is more of a community run event and activity. It is all about getting communication started, getting collaboration started, getting people to speak to each other, forge those networks and relationships. It's a beautiful world out there when people are connected to each other, but here is where the conversations really happen. LinkedIn Local is present in many cities pan India. At the moment, we are growing this community in 12 plus tier 2, 3, 4 Bharat. Cities like Mathura, cities like Jodhpur, cities like Jalandhar, Nagpur, Indore, the rest, where the next billion people will jump onto the internet bandwagon and where the next 100 unicorns will be from. And with that, it gives me immense pleasure to invite Richard to talk from his varied and diverse personal and professional experience in terms of how to be the author of your own life. And nobody better than Richard to talk to us just about that. Thank you very much, Richard. Welcome again. It's all yours.
Thank you, Preeti, and thank you, Vivek. I remember the last meeting we had, physical meeting we had, and it is a real pleasure to be on your show. And I really like to thank you for inviting me here. I've had the fortune of working for 37 years in the consulting field, and the only job I know is consulting. Accounting and consulting is the only thing I know. And I would like to share some experiences with all of you. And the way I thought that each of us, when we go out into life, we all want to leave a legacy. We want to leave something that people will remember us by. And we work towards shaping that legacy. However, I would like to just put a marker out here. Even I had that same feeling. Yes, I should leave a legacy. But over a period of time, I changed my view by saying leaving a legacy is not good enough. How can you aim to become the best version of who you are? Who is the individual that you are? I mean, the best version, just not the legacy, what people will think about you. We all know it, right? Reputation is what people think you are, character is what who you are. And I think that is very, very important in the beginning. And I think we need to also remember that one lesson which I learned very, very early in life. I was taught this: life is a circle, what goes up comes down. So while you're on your journey up, if you respect people, on your way down, you will be respected. I can tell you this from personal experience. And it's not easy when you're growing, when you're doing well, when you're completely overtaking all your colleagues and making it, breaking through those glass ceilings, and it gets heady out there. But if you are able to keep yourself grounded and able to keep yourself with the humility is a great quality to have. It's nothing. I mean, people will talk about you. You don't need to go and drum your own drum. People will talk about who you are. If you're nobody, then it's fine. You got to make life whatever it is. So I think it's important. The way I looked at it is, when you respect. The other one which I learned very early in life was values is the bedrock on which you build everything. If your values are intact and if you are absolutely clear about your values, nobody can change you. There is no shortcut in life. Ever try breaking a red light when you are rushed or whatever, and see if the cops catches you? You're wasting your 10 minutes. I'm just giving a very simple example, but taking out that. The other thing which I always thought was that as a leader, and when I got the privilege and the opportunity to lead KPMG in India, I said I must make bold decisions. I'm going to make decisions that nobody else has made. And I'm going to stick by those decisions. Yes, they were well thought of, but those decisions leaders take on their own. It's very lonely up there, let me tell you, when you take those decisions, because everything actually comes and falls on your shoulder. So we decided to walk on a very tough path, on a road which was very dark and lonely. And because we decided to go there, we reached where nobody else reached. So I think it's important for us as leaders, as professionals, that we walk on those difficult paths, which may not look very nice, but when we get there, we feel very this thing. The other thing that one thing which I really hold very dear to me is my ability to make connections with people. And this, I believe, is my greatest strength, which I have. And I just thought I'll share it with you, because as you grow up in life, you keep meeting various people, and our profession gives us the opportunity to meet a lot of people. And it is the connect that you keep, the relationship that you build, and how you keep that relationship going. The one small point I will leave out here, in which I learned the hard way in certain cases: never be transactional. Because the moment you are transactional, it's all over. People can see through it. People can see through somebody who's not genuine. Just imagine you're standing in the corridor, your boss comes and says, "Hi, Vivek, how are you?" And before you can even answer, he's gone. Did he even ever ask you that he wanted to know how you are? He was never. He was making a tick in the box statement. So when you are with somebody, even if it's for that 1 minute, please be engaged. And I can tell you, when you are engaged, those people will repay back in 1,000 times to you. So I think here I will just tell you one very simple one example I'll give in my life. We had, while I was at KPMG, we won our largest engagement with a US company. And we put up an entire center to do that work, because we had to do it. And that engagement was to run for 5 years, and it was huge in value. It was our biggest engagement, actually, for KPMG India. And just 1 month or 2 months into that engagement, the client cancels the contract. My team was livid, and they told me, let's go and enforce the contract, because the contract says that if they cancel it, then you have to pay 1 year's penalty as a canceling the contract. So I went with that mood. I went and sat with the client. I remember it was the Oberoi Hotel in Bangalore. I was sitting with him across the table. And I went with the intent to tell him we want to enforce the contract. But while discussing with him, I said, we are not enforcing the contract. And but I would like you to keep us in mind in case there's another opportunity which arises. And he told me, you got a client for life. And I can tell you, for the 8-10 years after that, while I was still at KPMG, we continuously built that client huge amount of money. We didn't get the same contract back, but we got a very large contract from them. And it was that one decision. But I'm just trying to tell you that many times when you are in that hot seat, it is a very important how you take the decision and how you look to build a relationship, and not about just making a little money and just putting it aside. The other quality which I thought which leaders should actually do, and which I try to live by quite a lot: how do you inspire youngsters to give up their best? How do you motivate them to give? A leader's as good as his team. If the team performs, you perform. So I think you as leaders need to inspire your people, motivate them to give up their best and reach heights which they don't even know they can reach. Like Steve Jobs says, the leaders inspire people to do things that they thought was impossible, and I think that's what as leaders we should live by. So, not don't be transactional. Remember that everybody you work for, or everybody who works with you, are people who are working for a living, and we need to respect that. Once we get that behind us, I think you will move on in life. And the greatest learnings that I have got personally has been from my failures. Each and every failure contributed a huge learning to me to take me to the next step. And there are many failures, but I will just talk about the one failure which actually was a big changing. And there were many. Let me tell you the times when I stepped back from leadership roles. When I was a deputy CEO at KPMG, I stepped back and became step back so that something we could do some kind of transaction. But that didn't stop you from getting where you ultimately were destined to get. So I just want to tell people, don't get worried. Many times to go forward, you have to take two steps backwards, and nothing is going to happen. When I was at Arthur Andersen, I did not make it to a partner in the year in which I thought I would make it. I was very disappointed. I was very angry like anybody else. But then I realized that you got to work very hard to come back. And that's what I did. And let me tell you, 1 year later, the firm rewarded me by taking me 4 to 5 levels above, where partners made it 5 years behind. I was taken to that level because you worked so hard, you went into your reservoir of talent, and you actually proved to the firm who you are. And I think so many times rewards will come. You just have to continuously work hard. They may not come at the same time, but they do come, and they come. And at that time, you don't go and say, I don't deserve this promotion or these extra promotions. You take it. So I think we should take both the down and the upside of life. There is this thing which I spoke about values, and I think one very nice story I was reading, and this has got nothing to do with my life. I was reading the story of this Kenyan runner, Abel Mutai, who was running this race, and there was a Spanish guy behind him, and this Kenyan did not see the finish line, and he thought he had finished the race, and he was standing there, and the Spanish guy could have just overtaken him and won the race, and he would have been the winner. There's nothing else. The Spanish guy went to him and told him, go and finish the race. In fact, pushed him towards the line because they couldn't understand each other's language. But he pushed him, and a journalist asked the Spanish guy, why do you let him win? He said it was his race. He had already won it. It was not that I wanted to win. He said, but you could have won it. He said, yes, I could have won it. But what's the use of that medal which is not earned? And I think that is very important. The respect is earned. Titles are given, respect is earned. And I think that is important. And the one other statement he made was very powerful. He said, what would my mother have thought about me? What would my mother have thought about me if I won it this way? So I think that is something very important. And I want you to, each of us to look at it. The one skill or this thing which really inspired me all my life, I never used to call it by this name, but it has always been there with me. What I call now the higher purpose. For me, it is the higher purpose is that glue which binds people to an organization, which binds people to come and work for that organization, binds clients to work for that organization. And we all need to have a higher purpose. Organizations have their own higher purpose. We need to have our own higher purpose. And I think in Simon Sinek, I think is the best guy who said anything on higher purpose. He says, people do not buy what you do, but buy why and how you do it. It's important to know why you're working in this job, why you're doing something. I think it's very, very important. Once we know the why of our life, I'm sure you'll get everything going. I look at it very simply that my salary is my current account and my higher purpose is my capital account. And anybody who's investing will understand what capital and current means. And I think if you have a higher purpose, that is what is going to drive you to take the right decisions, drive you to do what is right. Like I said, there is no shortcut to life. And Once we find a higher purpose, let me tell you, all of you will be gliding after that, because nothing can stop you and derail you from where you are. And the one thing which I learned, and this was actually told to me many years back when I was starting my career, was a spirit of gratitude that you need to show. Because and this was taught to be my mentor, Mr. Mama, who I have a lot of respect. He's no more in this world, but I have a lot of respect for him. He said that you should be grateful that you have this job and you have this, because somebody has made a sacrifice for why you are here today. And that attitude of gratitude is something that we all need to build in ourselves. I mean, just ask ourselves a simple question: when's the last time you told thank you to somebody in the genuine way? When is the last time you picked up your phone and called up your mother, teacher, whoever, and said thank you for what you have done? Or we just take it for granted, yeah, they are there and we'll get it. And this was taught to me by a general of the Indian Army, the Army Chief, General Bikram Singh, who came to our KPMG event. And in fact, I had a dinner with him the previous night, and he's explained this to me. I said, "You must tell this story." He said on the day he became the Army General, the Army Chief, what he did was he invited all his teachers to his home just to say thank you. And I think that is something which I think we should all learn, that how do you actually go and honor the people in your life who have actually been responsible for who you have become and what you have become. Because if we are not able to honor people, I think it is going to be very. There were two things which motivated me along, and or two kind of things. One was this New Zealand team, who were the All Blacks, the rugby team. What got them to do what they did. The other person that actually motivated me was a guy called Marvin Bower. He was a person who actually was the guy who built McKinsey. I swore by that book. The book was written by another partner on him. I kept that book, and the book became my working book when I became the CEO. I followed a lot of things that he did. I used to underline it and say, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And it was an amazing journey this man had. So, and the All Blacks, what one learned from them was create the highest possible operating standard, built up a feeling of oneness, of dependence on one another. So how do you build a collaboration in the team, get the team to work together, and develop the character and culture of your team? Establish a culture higher than that of your opponent. And if you see All Blacks, the way they play, the kind of win rate they have had at their in their rugby is amazing. And how they have that war cry, and if somebody has seen it, and I would, if you have not read this book, I would say you should read it. And yeah, exactly, you should read that, and it is something which is really inspiring and will get you somewhere. So these are the two things that really inspired me. The other one was, of course, my favorite is Sachin Tendulkar. I'm not going to talk about him today, but his entire life has inspired me. Innovation. We are living in a business world. So how do you innovate through ideas? In fact, the next battle, in my view, especially after COVID, is going to be fought on the power of ideas. So the more ideas we have, and we need, very important here for each of you, we need to build an infinite mindset. Uh, the other one is we should ask ourselves, how authentic are we with our family, with the people who work with us, and with our customers or clients, whichever way you call it. Do they really mean when they say trust me? Do we really mean when we say trust me? Do we really mean it? And are we tolerated, or are we trusted? Very important. One needs to build a level of, and especially in this world. Do we have a little few minutes more, or do we have to close off, Preeti?
We have a couple of minutes more, Richard.
Okay,
It's absolutely
okay,
fine.
okay. So you need to be, so the person needs to be emotionally engaged. Number one, the person needs to be emotionally engaged, and you need to build a trust. I remember one of my leaders came and asked me, I told him the biggest issue you have is trust. He's saying, how do I build trust? I said, I can't teach you how to build trust. Trust is built by your actions. And I think each of us needs to build our trust through actions, because what you say is what you mean, and not you say something and you mean something different. So I think leaders need to have a sense of conviction, and the team should believe in them. Once the team believes in you, it's very important. I lived in a time when the communities, the stakeholders became very much more relevant. And the stakeholders started asking very tough questions to us. They are no more asking the question, are you legally right? Yes, you are legally right. But can you answer this question? Are you ethically right? And here's a good example I can give you of Starbucks in London was not paying any tax, and there was a big harabola about it. And so everybody boycotted Starbucks, never went to Starbucks in London. And they then paid X amount of $1 million or £1 million as tax. And then people went back to Starbucks. So the point I want to make out here, the big four have been, questioned on their tax structures, etc. So I think we should always have a moral compass in front of us. Is this ethically right that we are going to do? One small slide which I thought I will talk to you about is the COVID period. In COVID, what do leaders do? First of all, this is the first time that leadership has truly been tested. The character of leadership has been tested. New business models have emerged, completely new, completely innovative business models. Cash has become king, so cash management has become very a big priority. Focus on growth and sustainability have become congruent. I mean, you need to focus on both. New market entry, which is very different from what it was. And how do you build and sustain trust? Because that is what will keep you going today. Today, the world is in pursuit of new business models. Business continuity has become the biggest bane of all companies, and I think people need to know it. And I would just like to end by just leaving a few takeaways for everybody, because I know I've run out of my time. I would like to leave a few of these thoughts with you. These are few things that I've learned. You always need to be in the driver's seat. Your destiny is in your hand. You can't blame the environment for where you are. It is the choices that you made 20 years back, you are where you are today. So remember that. So, whatever choice you make today, you're going to reap those benefits 10 or 20 years later. So, be careful. Destiny is in your hand. Do not ever sell anything that you would not buy. Never sell anything that you would not buy. Live life on your terms. Live life on your terms. Once you change the question, you will change the results. Always give that 10% extra, because this is what differentiates winners from losers. Every time you're doing something, 10% more. Next year, 10% more, 10% more. That 10% is what differentiates winners from losers. It's not a bad thing to go for. And leave the world in a better place than what you found it. Be a good ancestor. Plant trees that you will never see. And I would like to end by saying that if tomorrow comes and you're not here, how would you like to be remembered? That's exactly the way you should. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Richard, for those amazing insights. And I can only say that these are from your own real life experiences. So they are spoken with that much of feeling and that much of conviction. I am grateful to you for having shared
Thank
those
you.
tips and tricks for the audience at large to take their or derive at their own takeaways from. So, with that, we have come to the end of this session. I would like to thank you, Richard, for
Thank you.
investing your time, coming and talking to us. Thank you to the audience that has been here. With Richard's permission and along with Vivek, this is your host, Preeti Chaudhary, signing off from this edition of LinkedIn Local India 3rd Anniversary Gala Celebration with our dear guest, Mr. Richard Rekhy. All things said and done, stay safe, stay indoors, stay well. Until next time, do take good care.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Richard.
Thank you. Thanks. Thanks, Vivek. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, man.